Good Friday afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. We have a significant round of severe storms to contend with as we go into this afternoon and evening from the Midwest into the Ohio Valley. We'll be talking about an extreme heat wave extending into next week and more on the long-term pattern in this video. But before we get to the video, make sure you are subscribed to this channel for future updates on the weather pattern, whether it's severe weather, winter storms, tropical weather. I cover all of North America, including southern Canada, the United States, and the tropics. So be sure to hit the subscribe button down below for important updates on the weather, and also press the thumbs up button. It helps to get all of this information out to as many people as possible. I really do appreciate, because the more likes we get, the more people we can warn about the severe weather coming up this afternoon and also in the future. So looking here at the visible satellite imagery as of this afternoon at midday, we have a line of storms pushing through the eastern Ohio Valley into western and central Ohio. Actually did see a couple of tornado warnings pop up with this over the last several scans, so we'll have to watch this as it moves into eastern Ohio and even western Pennsylvania down into West Virginia as we get into the mid and late afternoon hours. But attention will turn back to the west here as we have the extreme heat building. We have excessive heat warnings covering multiple states here into the Corn Belt, and heat advisories as well covering the Ohio Valley down here into the Mid-South and also the East Coast as well, with those heat advisories as we go through the afternoon. So temperatures will be soaring well into the 90s, if not the triple digits, and this will be a recipe for success for thunderstorms as we go into later on today. So looking at those high temperatures this afternoon, we're well into the 90s here, 99 in Des Moines, 101 into the Omaha region, 102 in St. Louis, and 106 up here into the Topeka region into Kansas. So it's going to be a stifling hot day across portions of the Corn Belt. And this is going to add fuel to the fire, so to speak, for severe weather. The Storm Prediction Center has maintained a level 3 of 5, an enhanced risk of severe storms across northern and eastern Iowa, southern Wisconsin, north central Illinois, northwestern Indiana, and getting into far southwestern lower Michigan here. This does cover the Gary, South Bend, Indiana areas, Chicago, Rockford, Illinois, Madison, Milwaukee, back here into Dubuque, Iowa, Prairie du Chien, Wisconsin, back to Des Moines here, and Waterloo, Iowa as well. Those are just some of the areas impacted by this enhanced risk, with a larger slight risk surrounding that going through the Ohio Valley here into Ohio and western Pennsylvania later on today. And why do we see this? Well, we have a lot of Kate, folks. We have instability on the extreme side of things today. Wherever you see the purples and even the whites showing up here into northern Iowa, that's 4,000 to as much as 5,000 joules per kilogram energy today, folks. This is extreme, and that is going to drive our severe weather threat. And we also do have a little bit of some weak to moderate mid-level shear to contend with here as the southern flank of that jet streak across the upper Midwest starts to impinge on the lower Midwest and the Ohio Valley during peak daytime heating this afternoon. So as such, the biggest threat from the storms today here in our key messaging will be significant swaths of damaging winds in excess of 70 miles per hour. And there's honestly the potential for some of these storms to produce winds in excess of 80 miles per hour across, especially this red shaded color: Milwaukee, Chicago, Rockford, Illinois, Dubuque, Prairie du Chien, Waterloo, and Des Moines, Iowa, and also the Davenport Quad Cities. Watch out for this later on today. And then the significant hail threat will be secondary, especially with the storms that initially developed. Those will be supercells. We could be seeing those hailstones over 2 inches in diameter from southwest Wisconsin through north central portions of Iowa, far southern Minnesota, and maybe as far west here as the Sioux Falls region as we go through later on today. The tornado threat is overwhelmingly low, but it is a 2%. So wherever there's a chance of tornadoes, we have to pay attention to this going through today. So it's a low chance overall, but a few spin up tornadoes will be possible. So let's walk you through the timing here. This is mid afternoon, 3 p.m. Most of the Midwest is quiet. Now we have to watch a couple pop up storms up here into eastern and central Wisconsin. These could be isolated supercells capable of producing some big hail and some damaging winds up to around 60 miles per hour. That MCS or MCV that is moving through portions of the eastern Ohio Valley will continue moving away from the Midwest and into the mid-Atlantic by mid-afternoon. So lots of sunshine, lots of heat building, and lots of energy for storms this afternoon. Here we go, early to mid-evening. This is 9 p.m. Central Daylight Time. A cluster, or what we call an MCS, a mesoscale convective system, will develop in northern and eastern Iowa, and this will rapidly grow upscale into a squall line or even a bow echo and race across southern Wisconsin, north central Illinois, and into northwest Indiana. And this will move through much of the state of Indiana after midnight. So this will be later night event after midnight. This is 3 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. It'll be pushing through the Fort Wayne area, getting through South Bend, Indianapolis here on the southern flank of this as well. So watch out there. And then perhaps into the state of Ohio, getting closer to sunrise on Saturday morning. Looking at rainfall totals with this, another decent swath of heavy rain. We have to watch out for flash flooding because remember, these storms will be racing along and they'll be producing a lot of rainfall in a short amount of time. So in addition to the damaging winds, the large hail, and the tornado threat, another form of severe weather we'll have to watch is flash flooding, and that goes through early Saturday morning. A nice swath of 1 to 2 inches, perhaps isolated 3-inch amounts, especially to northern Indiana when this gets more matured as we go through Saturday morning, will need to be watched. And that's why the Weather Prediction Center does have in the yellow shaded area a slight risk for flash flooding. So scattered flash flooding events will be possible here from Detroit down through Toledo, Indianapolis, up through Chicago, Milwaukee, and then westbound toward Dubuque, Iowa as we go through Saturday morning. Looking at the big picture, though, going through this weekend, that ridge of high pressure remains parked across the Four Corners region and the Southern Plains. So more west-northwest flow over the top and more active storms and possible severe weather going through this weekend. But it's all about the heat down here across the south central and southwest United States. And then we start to see the heat flex its muscles back towards the Midwest and the upper Midwest early next week and toward the middle of next week as the ridge of high pressure starts to get more amplified. And we start to see more of a trough develop up here into southeastern Canada and the Northeast. So looking at the temperatures this weekend with the cold front after today's thunderstorm complex moves through, nice refreshing air. It still will be warm, but lots more comfortable up here into the upper Midwest. Temperatures will be in the 70s to mid 80s, but further south, it's a different story. We're back into the triple digits there in Kansas, into Missouri, around the Ozarks region, and southbound. That's where we're going to see widespread triple-digit heat on Saturday, Sunday, even going into Monday. We're seeing that a little bit more of a cool down deeper into the eastern United States into early next week's to start the week on Monday as that trough starts to become a little bit more apparent across the Northeast. But then the heat just starts to flex its muscles again by Wednesday, surging further north. Not as hot, I don't think, next week as we have been seeing the last couple days, but definitely seeing some lower 90s, possibly some mid 90s out there, but the extreme heat will be Kansas, Missouri on south toward Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, and Louisiana, even parts of Mississippi as we go through next Wednesday into early August. And looking at storm chances, remember, we have the west-northwest flow over the top of the ridge, so we're going to have more opportunities for these short waves to ride right over the top, ridge riders as we call them, with a slight risk of severe weather there into northeast Wyoming, southwestern South Dakota, into northwest Nebraska there. Mainly damaging wind and hail driven there. And then another damaging wind and hail driven storms across portions of the I-95 corridor, the Delmarva down into West Virginia and Virginia as we go through Saturday afternoon and evening. Then as we go into Sunday, another threat for marginally severe storms, one down here into the mid-south and another one up into the northern Rockies. Both of these could possibly get upgraded to a slight risk. It depends on the circumstances here with instability, moisture availability, and all of that. So we'll have to fine tune this as we get closer, but mainly again, damaging wind and hail driven on Sunday as well. And over the next 7 days through next Friday, August 4th, this is where the rainfall footprint will be. So we have more active weather for the Northeast and across the Great Lakes region here, with 1 to 2 inches of rain in many areas, and then some of the monsoonal moisture getting activated and upstarted across the Four Corners region, with some decent rains around the Denver area into Cheyenne, Wyoming, a couple inches there. But forget about the rain, though, if you live in the Lone Star State here. Outside of far west Texas, you're not going to see much rain there. Oklahoma is going to be mostly dry, especially into south central Kansas. Much of Arkansas, Louisiana, and Mississippi will be dry over the next 7 days. And looking at the drought monitor that was released this past Thursday, yesterday, it does remain across portions of the Midwest, the Central Plains, and the Upper Midwest. That storm complex today should help out a little bit with some of this, drought continuing to develop up here. That will be some good news. Unfortunately, it comes at the cost for some severe weather, but it does help out the drought in a big way, and it looks like it will get more help with the drought into next week with that west-northwest flow that is active with showers and storms. But the drought will continue to develop and intensify across south central Texas into the Four Corners region with the lack of rainfall as we go into early August. So that will be something to watch. If you want to follow me on Twitter for additional weather forecast updates here to stay up to date on the latest weather forecast, including severe weather, upcoming winter weather here this upcoming winter, and the tropics, be sure to follow me on Twitter. It's in the description down below the video. The link is down there. Follow me there at hweather420. I do update on that platform fairly frequently. Thanks everybody for watching today's video. I did have some power outage issues here this morning I had to get through. We had some big storms moving across northern Illinois here early this morning. Lots of lightning and damaging wind then. I'm in the threat zone for more storms. I'm in the enhanced risk today. So hopefully I get through this without power outages. If I do lose power, and it is a significant amount of time, just know tomorrow's video may not happen. So stay tuned. Stay up to date on the forecast. Stay safe, everybody, and have a great rest of your Friday.